Hi everybody, it's crazy, it's Monday, and it's time for the UPBGE video of the week. Now, before I get started, gotta give a shout out to my Toots, because you guys rock. To my crazy fam, I love you guys. Now, we're up to episode number 63, and last week we left off with Moving Forward, which is page 47, okay, of the Game Engine book. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you're just cluing in for the first time, check the description below, get the book, get the files, and follow along with us. Start at episode number 1, so that way you can get a full aspect of what the book's about and continue on from there. Okay, so we left off with this file last week, which is the tutorial walk 5 extreme poses blend, and basically it shows the character in motion, basically moving. If you walk across the timeline, he moves. Okay, moves back and forth. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so moving forward, the final walk cycle will have no real forward movement. The character stays in the same place. It's similar to those old Looney Tune cartoons when the coyote runs past the cliff and keeps running without going anywhere. Then he falls. Nevertheless, you still need to set up a system where you can see the character walking as if you had a motion actuator attached to it. To help with this, we will look at two methods using the central bone or moving the environment. Okay? Now, the next one is root bone. Okay? The simplest way to make Moo Moo move is by keyframing the root bone along the way. The root bone is the parent of all the bones. Thus, if it moves, the rest of the armature will follow it. To set the root bone to move, go to pose mode and do the following. Okay, so we should be in pose mode if you still have this file set up. Okay, and it should automatically be in pose mode. Okay, you're going to select the bone in the rig Moo Moo. Okay, you will find the bone.main on the floor level, which is this little guy right here. Okay, it's bone.main, and if you want to, you can actually just scroll to the bottom, and usually it shows it there. As those are eyes. Why is the eyes are still on there? Well, we've got the bone.main because there's nothing attached here yet. It will show up here. So you go to the main and then you just click it. And usually a lot of times it's in the graph editor. No, okay, it's not going to be in there yet. Okay, so not in there yet. Sorry about that. All right, so you click down here at the bottom because it's usually at the base. Right here at the base of where the floor is. Okay, that's where your first bone should start. Okay. All right. Insert a location keyframe. This will be the initial pose of the bone and armature. Okay, so all you're going to do is just hit I and then location. Just make sure you are on keyframe 1. Let's go back to the dope sheet. You should be on keyframe 1. Okay. Advance from frame 1 to frame 41. So if we go to 41, that would be right there. Okay. Move the bone forward the distance of 1 stride, which is 0.23. Okay, just for this character. See, we're going to talk about the note below here in just a bit. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go grab Y, because right here it says forward motion. Okay, so grab Y. Okay, and then go 0.23. All you're going to do is type that in. Just type in 0.23 and it should put you 0.23 blender units or 23 centimeters, which would equal 1 stride. Okay, and then hit OK. Alright, so move forward the distance of the stride. We just did that. Okay, keyframe the new bone position. So all we're going to do is we're going to hit I, location again, and now if you notice, that bone.main now has 1 here and 1 here. So that way when you do that, okay, he is walking. Moo is walking forward and moonwalking back. Okay, that's how you do it. Okay, now change the channel exploitation mode of the root bone to linear exploitation. So you're going to go to channel, you're going to come up here to exploitation mode, and you're going to go linear. Okay, because that's what you want. You don't want it to have a curve. You want it to have just a straight movement. Okay. Alright, so in the book files, you can see Moo setup with the root bone steps at Chapter 4, Tutorial Walk 6.rootbone.blend, which is basically what we have here. Okay, it's the exact same thing. If we went to it right now, go ahead, open, go to 6 root bone. Okay, same thing, but now it actually has it. Okay, it's right here. This is the whole root bone. Okay, I went the wrong way. Okay, that's it right there. So that's it. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, so that's the walk cycle. Okay, how big is a stride? If your character is walking, eventually you will need to find where its feet will land after each stride. This varies from person to person and is a function of the leg's size, the speed of the movement, walking, running, jumping, and other factors such as the environment, for example, snow. For the walking cycle, you can use 23 centimeters or 0.23 blender units, because one blender unit is the same as saying 1 centimeter. All right, for the complete 2 strides. After you are done with the animation, past the polishing stage, you then can claim the bone location F curve. During the production of your game, you may need to come back for tweaks in your animation cycle. Therefore, instead of cleaning the bone curve, you can simply disable the root bone channel in the graph editor. Okay, so you can disable it by, okay, you can see the speaker icon you use for that right here. Okay, so if you just turn that off, now it's grayed that out, so this will not go in the actual animation. Okay, the downside of this method let me redo that one. The downside of this method comes when you need to change the root bone as part of your animation. For example, sometimes you don't want your animation cycle to be uniformly moving forward. Even for Moo-Moo's walk, it's better if there is a break every time he rests one of his feet as he gets ready for the next step. As you know, the movement of the character will be decoupled from the animation cycle. And no, we don't get tired of repeating that. So in this case, if you look at the character from a constantly moving point of reference, it will seem as if Moo is moving forward, then backward, and then forward again to the original position. To move all the bones at once, nothing is better than the root bone. It's not a good idea to rely on the bone that you plan to disable though. A workaround for that is to have one root bone to control the external position and another bone parented to the root bone to control the internal position relative to the object location. To avoid this surplus of global control bones, let's look at our second method. If Mohammed won't go to the mountain, okay, he goes to the beach. Our dear monkey, however, is suntanned enough and might as well stay put. In other words, in this method, Moo never moves. We will instead animate the environment around him. This method is based on the principle that perception is always relative. For example, On your computer screen, there is no way to distinguish between moving the camera away from the character and moving the character away from the camera. The result will be exactly the same. We will be adding moving placeholders that you can use as a guide to the position the feet. Okay, let's see where we at. Yeah, we're right at 10 minutes. Let's see how long this is. Yeah, this one's a long one. Okay, so I think I should kick it off right there, but no, we're going to keep going. We're going to be a little bit longer. How's that? Okay, the file, okay, is in chapter 4, book walk cycle placehold.blend. You can't tell from the picture, but if you play back the animation, you will see the placeholders moving against Moo, or would it be the other way around? In fact, the camera is static, so Moo doesn't really move. Create a simple and easy to spot object. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Okay, let's go to that one first. Open. We're going to go to 7 placeholder. Okay, that's what you see. Let's, if I can get that to grab, there we go. We don't need that. We're not going to be doing any Python, so. Oh. Yeah, that's what. And then we'll bring that down. That's the timeline. Okay, these are your placeholders right here. Okay, that's what they're talking about. That's your placeholder. Okay. All right, so create a simple, easy to spot object. Create an array modifier. Set the constant offset to be equivalent to the same stride and set enough copies to fill the screen. So that's what this is right here. See, basically would fill the whole screen. Okay. Move the array object to be aligned with Moo. The feet from your extreme pose should match the pose of the array elements. Insert a location keyframe. Advance from frames 1 to 41. Okay, so we only got that to 41. See? So that's the keyframe. Okay, so move the array object forward the distance of 2 strides, which is 0.46. See the note on root bone. Keyframe the new array object position. In the graph editor, change the array object extrapolation mode to linear extrapolation. Okay, so that's already set with this other one. We didn't do it with the other one because we didn't put these in because I don't know exactly what they're talking about. But what you're going to do is you're going to create an array modifier from right here, and you're just going to put it out so many. As you see, they've got a 52 count. Okay, and then all you're going to do is have it to where he moves. Okay, and then you're going to set the extrapolation mode in channels for that particular one. Okay, go to channel extrapolation mode, and then make sure it is set to linear. Okay, this method requires a bit more setup than the previous one, but it has a big advantage. To work in the between poses, the next step of this tutorial, you will need to keep track of the foot position while the character moves forward. While the body is constantly moving, the feet are planted on the ground until it's their time to get up and get smashed on the floor again. This will prevent the undesirable effect known as sliding feet. This problem will be revisited next when we create the poses between the extremes. Figure 4.3 or 4.43 shows the complete walking cycle in different movements. Note that the feet are always in the same place relative to the placeholders. Okay, and you can do that this way as well if you move it from one to the other. As you see, as that foot hits the ground, it is now got on that placeholder. And then again, that placeholder. Okay, and then that placeholder. See? And you continue on until you get to the end of your strides. Okay, so once you get to the end of the strides, then it will continue on. I don't know why I did before, but these will move continuously. So, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and end it there because I'm right at 15 minutes. We're going to end off with, let me kick over to here for a second. There we go. We're going to end off with between poses, okay? And that's what we'll start with next week. That is actually page 50, okay? And you're working from the tutorial walk 7.placeholder.blend, okay? So we'll kick that off. Animation, you know, I know that a lot of people would rather just do a motion actuator just to make their character move, but what they're referring to is making it look like the character is actually walking. You know, when you do the walk cycle, a lot of people just do the walk cycle and that's it, and their character look like they're skipping as they're moving across the screen when you hit the, you know, WASD keys. Okay, so that's what they're talking about. They want to make it look like it's actually walking, and you're actually making the character move. So when you move it, it actually does what it's supposed to. Okay, so we'll leave it there for this week. Page 50, between poses, and tutorial walk 7 placeholder.blend. Okay, till next week.